since we've been, the timeline is not right. And so I'm going to count from, roundabout time. I think we can add some days there. 1,232 days. We've been at this a long time. That's what that means. Since Richard was uh, a long time continuously retaliated against for being a whistleblower. We believe that that started in 2019. So we can add a year to this. We can add a year because we believe that the retaliation began before August 3rd, which is Dallas's birthday, but it's also the same day as the Walmart mass shooting in 2019 by, you know, uh, I don't know. I've just been thinking, how just wrap your brain around that Richard is retaliating against the same people that are connected to the Walmart mass shooting on August 3rd, 2019, which happens seemingly to be the same date, August 3rd, as Dallas Hart celebrates his birthday, and Dallas Hart, Richard's platoon leader, um, is the key suspect in the disappearance and murder of our son, and his mother comes in and messes with everything because she seems to control everything. If she if Dallas Hart knows that his mother can control the CID, the DES, Park University, the CYS, the CPS, the JAG, the VA, his dad can control the VA, um, it, uh, Felix Valenzuela, um, and more and more. Do you think that he would be emboldened to murder somebody? That's just such a good question, isn't it? If you know, I mean, what other crimes? Because we're getting indication that there is, mm, you know, that this family is in total chaos. We know that Leilani Hart is a convicted criminal. Um, we have indications um, and allegations of felony crimes with James Hart and Dallas Hart. Dallas Hart while he is in uniform. And would they be emboldened if they controlled so many agencies um, because of what we're told? There's this problem with the sex cult. You got the doggy sex cult, you've got the Pentagon sex cult, you've got sex cults everywhere, and we're being told that there is threesomes, that there is affairs everywhere, everywhere, flip flop, everywhere. And these are like threesomes and more. We're getting reports that it was more than just threesomes. So these are orgies. These are orgies. And we have, of course, in Leilani's own words, um, felony crimes that have to do with incestuous pedophilia and sexual assault on an active duty soldier 7-year-old son, and child pornography, right? um I think that is, let me get on here because this is so much to cover today, so much to cover. And the first thing I want to say that I wanted to say um, is Happy St. Nicholas Day, right? Happy St. Nicholas Day. And why is that important? because the light conquers the darkness. And it's those examples, like I just, with my grandkids, we celebrated St. Martin's Day, about the selfless service of a soldier. Um, and, it just happens that St. Martin's Day correlates with Veterans Day. And so, we always have lanterns and light, um, and as they get older, just gets more and more fun to conquer the darkness with the light, with the joy. And with St. Nicholas, um, being for the children, giving of himself for the children that are being exploited. And if you look at his life, it is for the sailors and the children that were being exploited. And we have on Fort Bliss children being exploited. Absolutely. And Richard, being a St. Nicholas, right? Trying to help the children, trying to help a young mother. And we have video proof of Richard trying to help Belen Rocha. Okay? Belen Rocha, whose family is very connected to Tanya Katzen, which is Danae Katzen's mother. Very involved in this case. I think she got a plea deal. We're getting, from our alliance inside of Fort Bliss and El Paso, like she got a plea deal, and they're tampering with Richard's case. Richard's case is a botched case because the very people that are there to identify the crime and the criminals and document the crime and the criminals and prosecute the crime and the criminals are criminals themselves. And they're involved in the cover-up, and they're involved in the cover-up for good reasons, because they were up to no good. This is the information that we're getting. These are the allegations. These are the seeminglys, the apparentlys, and everyone knows that they hold a lot of weight. So, Belen, her father, Eddie Rocha, her mother, Lydia Rocha, seemed to be very connected to mortuary affairs. Seemed to be very connected, not seemed to be, I should just say that, apparently seems to be connected to 3905 Bliss Avenue with Tanya Katzen, or Tanya Katzen, sorry. I don't know why I always say that, but I think it's because of the way she spells her name. But her name is Tanya Katzen. And connected to the medical examiner, Mario Roscone Ortiz. And, this is connected to the Walmart mass shooting case because it's the same medical examiner and the same address, 3905 Bliss Avenue. And there seems to be even more of a connection. I don't know if it's just a coincidence that Dallas Hart's birthday falls on August 3rd. I don't know if that's just a coincidence that that's the same day as the Walmart mass shooting. I don't know. But Richard was absolutely trying to help Belen Rocha because we have the video proof. And she didn't know what to do about it because she thought he was weird. He's weird. You mean he doesn't want to exploit me sexually? He doesn't want to exploit my children? He doesn't want to exploit my children sexually. He wants to help me. He wants to help my children. He wants to help the children on Fort Bliss at the, you know, what children are on Fort Bliss? Those that are getting filmed to make these child pornography to send? Is that what that is? I don't know. We know that Richard turned in sex videos, okay? And, why isn't the CPS? Why isn't the IG telling us what the soldiers told us? That the barracks were, the IG were all over the barracks because of Halliday, right? And all the evidence, different kinds of evidence, because, you have your hard evidence, hard facts, then you have your circumstantial evidence, and then you have the irregularities. And the retaliation was so severe, y'all. It was so severe. And then you ask, okay, you did this to my son. Why? Tell me why you did it. You know, we have given you the power to do the non-judicial punishment. We've, I guess, okayed permanent GOMARs where they destroy a person's career, right? By flagging them. It's a flag and they can't go to school and they can't be promoted and they can't do anything. And if you can't do any of that, then you spend so much time in your grade and you have to get out, right? Or you get chaptered out. And of course, they scrubbed Richard's file from his chaptering. They're rewriting history. That's what they want to do by scrubbing his file from the chaptering. You can rescind the chaptering. You can rescind the GOMAR, the permanent GOMAR. You can rescind the Article 15, not any Article 15, but a field grade Article 15 with the maximum punishment. And then they added punishment on top of it. Okay? They added more punishment on top of the maximum allowed punishment. So they scrub that. Now, don't scrub it. You need to rescind it, and then you need to explain why you rescinded it. That would be accurate record keeping of history. And I think, they are so used to using false identities, false social security numbers, scrubbing information, adding information, manipulating information. They are corrupt. They are very corrupt. And, it's just, they do not want to record keep properly. And so all of the open records, being the CPS, being the El Paso Police Department, being the Office of the Governor, and more and more, they are made, Park University, UTEP, they are made to keep these records and and accurately record the information. And the reason why they're made to do that is so that we can see what they're doing. That is what democracy is. That's what a republic is. It's transparency and we have oversight. And yet these very people that talk about democracy don't want to have transparency, don't want to keep accurate records. And the allegations against Dallas Hart with the weapon trafficking, with him being a platoon leader, with him being Richard's platoon leader, and the allegations of weapons trafficking is, and have this ability to you know, manipulate files on computers, and we have a witness testimony that he would use other people's computers. Um, there's really good indication that those allegations are correct, right? Because of the tactical move storage units. And we have article after article of, we have this one truck full of ammunition that got caught on one of the bridges because he didn't go over the proper bridge. So that, and we even have names of corrupt uh, border agents, right, that allow the smuggling to go into Mexico, and it's a pretty penny. Because if you're not paying for the bullets, the ammunition, if you're not paying for the hand grenades, if you're not paying for the weapons, then you just smuggle them. You have to just smuggle them. All of it's on the American taxpayer dime. And then, you'll complain about inflation or whatever, and it's like when you're criminals, it's just chaotic all the way around. And to take these weapons and sell them, or to in process children, to bring children and then traffic them, sell them off. We know that they're doing that. You have 85,000 unaccounted for children from the emergency intake center. And, so where are they? And are you telling me that admirals with all these, let's just say seasoned leaders do not have the staffs? They do. They have huge staffs. They have command over so many individuals. And you can't tell me that they can't keep records. This is a record keeping problem. They want to, we know now that even in the J6 hearings, they deleted records of witness testimony. You know why? Because I was there myself. I was a witness to January 6th because I was there. I was in the nation's capital. I got tear gassed. And I can tell you this, that the reason why those witness testimonies got deleted, got erased, that the record keeping wasn't safeguarded and done accurately, is because the truth would be opposite of what these insane people want to feed the public as a narrative. We could barely hear that the speakers weren't even working properly. And I have videos to prove it, that the speakers weren't even working properly. You could barely hear President Trump speaking. And it was then very cold. So that made you not really focus too well either. I mean, plus, I was very busy talking to people during the whole time. The speech came on very late, and we were there peacefully. I felt that all of the genuine people that were there, because we know now that there was a small army of FBI informants there. Okay. And that makes so much sense with them trying to want us to come close together, because this is during COVID, right? And we all were being very respectful of one another. And even I, who don't even believe in viruses, but I'm still very respectful. I don't want to give any anxiety to people. because they haven't read, and our media has not presented to them, and the teachers and our uh, CDC and FDA and all of that have not presented to them the findings that Christine, um, oh, she has a last name like a tractor, um, one of my favorite tractors. It starts with an M. Anyway, she was amazing. Her records were amazing. And she did FOIAs all over the world to receive just one little bit of virus. One little bit in because they send the samples of pathogens, or like bacteria, or whatever. You can order those, and they send them to your university or your lab, and you can study them. And she requested, went through all the hard work, and requested a sample of COVID, and nobody could give it to her. Nobody could give her that virus in a little test tube to look under the microscope, or, to do any kind of research on. And she had the credentials to do it. It was amazing. And so then when they couldn't give her that, she asked for like measles, rabies, any known, what we've been told is a virus. She asked for, she requested nothing, nothing. And to this day, as far as I know, and I try to keep up with her work, um, and it's, oh, gosh, Massey, I think it is, Christine Massey, um, is that there is none. There is none. She hasn't received not one. So what does that tell you? You can't get a chicken pox? Then what is chicken pox? You see, that's what people don't like. That maybe we don't know everything. Maybe we don't know everything. Maybe we have been sold a snake oil. Maybe we have been told, we can catch this, and that's how, and whatever. And of course, because I went to a party, a chickenpox party, and I got it. Um, but wait a minute. Is, and this is what I learned from Van Til. It's called epistemological self-consciousness. Can you ask yourself that maybe you don't know everything? Maybe we don't know everything in a society. Maybe there is some really great invention out there for free energy. Maybe there is something else to answer for why children get these childhood sicknesses like measles and mumps and uh, chickenpox and things like this. And maybe there's a reason, a different reason, why we get the sniffles and flu symptoms and things like that. What really causes it? Why can't we face that there might be another answer, and we don't know it, and we need to do some due diligence to find out? And see, because of that teaching from Van Til, I think that has helped in our son's case, Richard's case, when we were told the entire narrative at the beginning and it didn't make sense. Where is the criminal activity? Where's the proof? You want proof from me. Bring me the leads. Bring me the leads. You're the investigator now. We can't help you unless you bring in the leads. Okay, well, I would like some proof too. Um, all of us would like some proof. The El Pasoans want proof. The American taxpayers want proof. from their agencies, officials, their military, on the allegations that they're making against a whistleblower missing soldier, right? And it what we were being told didn't make sense. It didn't line up at all. At all. Whether, and it's not just me. You can ask the American people, does that line up? And they'll say, no, it doesn't line up. And so you have to ask yourself, okay, is there something that we don't know? Something that we don't know that happened to Richard, in 2019 before the Walmart mass shooting? Is there something in the Walmart mass shooting that we're not being told? Because it's not lining up, y'all. It's a botched case too. So you have the Patrick Crusius case, which is the Walmart mass shooting case, and it's a botched case. And sources have told us that Patrick Crusius, it seems like it, apparently, he was autistic. He was on the spectrum. And I told you a few days ago, and I want to thank Team Find Richard Halliday. And that's why I'm so transparent. I try to be very genuine. And, even sometimes to the detriment of the thought that if I say something, it might keep us from finding information because they will know what we're looking for and they will hide it. They will hide it from us. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm not playing games. I'm not playing games. And I know there's strategies and all of that, but I want my son. And I don't have time for all the head games. Leilani Hart is a convicted criminal. She's the mother of Dallas Hart, Richard's platoon leader. And there was something very wrong with Dallas Hart. There's something very wrong with Leilani Hart. Because you just don't, there's something very wrong with James Hart. Because you just don't put in all of that incestuous, and they absolutely have confirmed that they do these sex orgies. They have confirmed in the divorce proceedings that they play around in these sex orgies. Now, there is a big population out there that says, that's in the privacy of their own bedroom and blah, blah, blah. That has nothing to do with us. And you know what? I don't agree. Because that belly is never filled. That belly is never filled. And the reason why it's not, that it begats more and more felony crimes. And you can say, oh, orgy is not a crime. But it is when you are incestuous. It is when you are using children. It is when you are filming children. That's torturing children. That belly is never filled. And the reason why is because there's no joy. It's just a power play. It's just evil. It's disturbing. It's disturbing for even the worst people. There's no joy in it. There's no peace in it. There's no trust, loyalty, integrity, selfless service. There's no leadership in it. Okay? It is just brute torture. And it's ugly. and it's chaotic. And when you have that, your search is never done because you can never be fulfilled with that kind of brute ugliness and harm and crime. And so it leads to more and more crime. And now we have, even here close to where we live, you have people involved in bestiality because they're never satisfied. And if they're going to never be satisfied, then they're going to delve into other things like fraud. And so, of course, Leilani Hart has used other people's social security numbers. We have had that confirmed. Absolutely. This group has stolen identities. Um, they have harassed, they have intimidated, they they have obstructed justice. And so that's why these sex cults, when people say that it's none of our business, they're never satisfied, and it always becomes a, a crime that involves the rest of society. And now with Patrick Crucia's case, with Richard's case being intertwined with the Patrick Crucia's case, with the same people that manipulate, that seem to have, this uh, bottomless belly for criminal activity. I mean, we've proven that Leilani Hart has a vast criminal history and is a convicted criminal, and claims that her family are criminals, felony type criminals. And that was accepted by the FBI. And she was not arrested for false allegations on that one, y'all. So, what does that mean? And I just think that that's very important in thinking about our son's case, in the murderer of our son's case. Who would be emboldened? You have to be emboldened to be a murderer. Or, in Patrick Crucia's case, I don't, maybe somebody can, well, I still have to do a lot more studying because he comes from a pretty well-to-do family. I mean, he's not hungry, and he beautiful home and all of that. What's going on with him? His dad wrote a book about mind control. Why? Why? What inspired? I know that all the things that I have written and put together on McGuffey's Online Tutor is inspired because of my children, wanting to help my children. And I just think that that's a big, if you want to do something as a parent, I think a lot of it is motivated by our children. And maybe I don't know. I just looked at a lot of pictures and a lot of videos of Patrick Crucius, and now Team Find Richard Halliday is giving us seemingly, apparently, Patrick Crucius is on the spectrum, on the autistic spectrum disorder. And working with them, okay, I've worked with them. I've worked with people and children on different levels of the spectrum, and also Down syndrome, and also other disabled children. Um, Adopted two children. Richard is adopted from Poland, and he didn't speak any English at all. And you have to understand that, and this is just telling you a little bit about our family. We didn't adopt babies. These were children, 5 and almost 8 years old, with history. They had history. They had experiences. And everything that I did, that Rob did, that our family did together the day that we met Richard and Robert, the day that we met them, they would remember. They would remember it for the rest of their lives because they were older. There was no trial time for us. They would remember everything. And they didn't speak any English. And I don't speak Polish. So, our concern was they absolutely have some history. They have memories, especially Robert. He has memories. And we knew that. But because of the work that, the love that I have for education, the love I have to try to help disabled children, be it autistic children, be it learning disabled children, be it Down syndrome children. I learned a lot as a young lady, working with them. And the Down syndrome are taken advantage of in this world, sexually, right? With the transgender movement and everything, because they're just so loving. They just want to be loved. They're very how can I say this? They're, and that's the challenge, is to manage that with integrity. Because they're very warm. They really want a friend. And the autistic are quite the opposite. They're very distant. And you have a hard time trying to get close to them because they're so distant. And they have a proclivity to aggression and violence, and even self violence and aggression. And to hear that Patrick Crucius, who went into the Walmart and shot at people, okay, and then the media pushed this narrative, and knowing the media by now, that not one story has come out with Richard that has been accurate, totally accurate. And the Stars and Stripes at the very beginning, they really hurt the search for Richard. with the way they reported, and it only could have came from the PAO, Lieutenant Colonel Allie Payne, speaking for the general. And I believe, and I will allege, that they did that on purpose to sabotage the search for Richard, to sabotage anybody paying attention to Richard's case. Because at that time, with the finding of Vanessa Guillen's parts, you know, the spotlight was on missing soldiers and missing and murdered soldiers. And so I believe that that was intentional, an intentional sabotage. I allege that. And I stand on that firmly. So in Patrick Crucia's case, there is no doubt, we have it on film, that he went into that Walmart and shot people. Okay? That is not what I'm saying is that I think there are things that we don't know, that we're not being told. And if he is on the spectrum, like we're being told, that opens up a lot of questions. And I don't know if that's why there's such a delay in these proceedings and where that would lead to. I'm just saying, if I'm saying they need to come out and they need to address that. They need to address this issue that he is a disabled, and because they have not been able to plead him insane, because he's not insane. If he is autistic, he's not insane. And this is very important for Richard's case, because the very people involved in Richard's case are also involved in Patrick Crucia's case. How much so? How much so? And are there other autistic individuals involved? Because this is Team Find Richard Halliday now. This is not me. This is us. This is us in the last few days discussing this. If they take advantage of the Down syndrome children, it's not one Down syndrome person that was taken advantage of with this transgender movement. Okay? That it wasn't just one of them. It's several of them. So to get a person to act alone that is on the spectrum, I don't buy that. Not when those same people are connected through 3905 Bliss Avenue with Richard's case. And not with a case that's 4 years old, right? 4 years old, and they don't even have a court date. And that they are keeping so many of the witness testimonies from us. Yes, people were killed in this, but there were some people that survived, a lot of people that survived. Why can't we read their testimonies? Their witnesses. This is an ongoing case. No, we're beyond this this is an ongoing investigation. That's such a cop out. And Congress even today called it a cop out because we're in 4 years of millions and millions and millions of dollars. I think we want to know. I think we want to know what we're spending our money on. And I'm just saying, if it's correct what we are hearing, that Patrick Crusius is autistic and his case is involved with our son's case, there are people behind him. He did not act alone, in my opinion. Because I will tell you this, the one thing I know for sure is that individuals on the autistic spectrum need so much help. The parents are so exhausted. They are so desperate for help to help their child, their family member, because it requires that much help. And that's why we have these programs, because the need was there. And the need was great. And the need is great. And you're telling me that Patrick Crusius is just an exception to all those rules? There's just... no. No. There's something... I don't buy that. I don't buy the narrative of an autistic person being a white supremacist. I do not buy that at all, because they are so distant. And I'm just saying, if this is an if, we are hearing that Patrick Crusius is on the spectrum. They don't care about you or me. They are so distant. That is just not what they pay attention to. So that whole narrative, unless there's been some major mind control, does not make any sense. It's insane. It's insane to think that he had this manifesto and that he had this this white supremacist attitude. And that just does not fit. And I'm not saying that doesn't exist. I'm not saying he didn't shoot people. He did shoot people. He's guilty. In the federal court, he's guilty. And they wanted to, Jaime Esparza, who was the DA at the time, now he is the Attorney General, he wanted to seek the death penalty, and they didn't. Why? Why didn't they? Did they find out that he was autistic and they did not want to tell the population? Because they're protecting people that are behind him? Because an autistic person cannot work alone like that. Not like that. No, not with the weapons like that. Not organized like that. No, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. And, and I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But because I absolutely will tell you that I don't know. But I don't think that they are telling us everything. I don't think that the people I don't think any of us really know, because it's a botched investigation. It's a botched case, and very expensive botched case, a very costly botched case. And I want to know why. Why do I want to know why? Because the very people behind Patrick Crucius, who I believe could be behind the mass shooting, then why would they want a mass shooting? That would be the question. And would that include criminal activity that Richard was reporting, and that's why they wanted him dead? So did they want to protect this criminal activity, and they needed a mass shooting to continue the criminal activity? And was Richard reporting on the criminal activity or the criminals, and that's why they needed him dead? Because these two cases are intertwined. So I'm just brainstorming live with Team Find Richard Halliday, with the people of El Paso, with the Americans, with the military community out there that care. And after watching the special tonight on ABC about Denisha Montgomery, who has been labeled a suicide, I am pleading with the El Paso community and broader area and the military community and the Americans that are listening tonight to please sign the petition to support the soldier, the active duty soldier that they deployed, that wants a congressional. And part of the congressional is about Richard's case, but there's part of the congressional that he's requesting about these false, fraudulent suicides. And Denisha Montgomery, her family, says that no way this was a suicide. This was a murder-suicide. That's what they're saying. That's not what I'm saying. That's what they are saying. They know the case better than I do. But I'm saying that we have an active duty soldier on Fort Bliss that has requested, put his whole life on the line, because there's a lot of people that do not want this criminal activity to be exposed, do not want the Patrick Crucius case, whoever's behind it, to be exposed, do not want the Richard Halliday case to be exposed, do not want the Denisha Montgomery case exposed. And so he's putting his life on the line, and we have 322 signatures. We need more signatures to show support and also to drive our agencies, to drive Veronica Escobar. She's the driver, of this request for a congressional inquiry. She is the one that gets it moving. Where is she? What's going on? So she needs to be compelled. She needs to be driven. She needs to be forced to get this soldier's congressional inquiry heard and done. And it includes these questionable suicides. It includes Richard's case. It includes the security breaches on Fort Bliss, where the DES gave these special passes to these party girls during a crisis, a COVID crisis. And yet they gave them this. Why? Was there a prostitution ring going on Fort Bliss? Was Leilani Hart involved in a prostitution ring? Because there are allegations to that. That you might not have heard that, but there's been a lot of allegations about that. And she was very, very close to Thomas Kane, the director of emergency services, who gave these party girls these special passes during a crisis, during the COVID crisis, to get on Fort Bliss. Also, the congressional inquiry talks about the security breach when it comes to the barracks, that the SOPs, the standard operating procedures from the NCOs, are totally in charge of this, that they are not following that, and that the generals don't care because a 14-year-old girl was living in the barracks being prostituted out every night, y'all. This is taxpayers' dime funding her staying in those barracks. And we have them covering up for Asia Graham's rape. But then when Asia Graham's body was found in the barracks, which is very interesting because crimes were committed, I believe, around the handling of her remains. Then they finally, because they were driven, because they were forced to, because they were compelled to respond to her rape charges after she was dead by fentanyl-laced medication. By a fentanyl-laced medication. They were compelled. And that's why we need the signatures. And better yet, write Veronica Escobar. She's our representative there. She's our representative there. And we together need to compel her, to force her, to drive her to answer this active duty soldier who wants a congressional hearing on very important issues about security on Fort Bliss. And a soldier, she cannot ignore a soldier that is requesting a congressional inquiry. She cannot. And that it is not moving forward quick enough. It tells you that she doesn't care one lickety split about soldiers, because soldiers are not like the rest of us. They cannot just leave their job. If there's a problem and IG is not covering it, and CID is not covering it, and FBI and all of them are not covering it, and you need a congressional inquiry, you can't just walk away. You have to do a congressional inquiry. And it's her job to get that to Congress ASAP and relieve the stress, relieve the concerns of this active duty soldier so that they can get on with soldiering. This is a national security issue. And Denisha Montgomery's case, what I watched this evening, absolutely confirms that they do not trust CID and they do not trust the chain of command in the military. And they're asking for the FBI, and I'm like, please, you cannot trust the FBI. But we can compel them, we can force them with the support of all of us together that want to make our country work again, function again, and get rid of the corruption, because there's so much corruption. So that was very powerful. I also, one reason why I came on late is I was watching the debate, and I saw Vivek Ramaswamy um, absolutely hold up a sign that said Nikki Haley was corrupt. Um, and, not even being able to name three provinces uh, in the eastern Ukraine area where she wants soldiers to go and die for. And she doesn't even know that area. Um, it was very, very powerful. Very powerful. I think he brought out a lot of truths, a lot of truths, a lot of questions that we all have. So that was very good. Um, and no, I'm speechless. I'm speechless with all what I just watched and what all I'm saying. And I'm really speechless when it comes to Patrick Crucius. I never, ever, ever would have put the Walmart case and Richard's case together, but there you have it. It is. It is with hard evidence, y'all. With 3905 Bliss Avenue, it has, with hard evidence, brought those two cases together. And they have a lot in common. And the first thing in common is that they are botched. They are both botched. And this Felix Valenzuela, the defense attorney for Patrick Crucius, and a Mormon, and seemingly representing or giving, uh, yeah, acting in Richard's case for many. We will release all that very soon. Um, there's no doubt that these two cases are intertwined. So if you have any questions, I didn't go on like I should have. Okay, hi Mitzi, I see you, and Danielle, I see you, and Anicia, and Danielle and Grace, thank you so much for your love and your prayers. They need just to quit playing evil games and find Richard Halliday and bring him home. Yes, they have him, because we have Nadal Baim saying they have him. We have the PAO uh, speaking for the general, and we believe December 19th they found uh, partial remains. On December 19th, we believe they found partial remains in March of 2021. We believe they found partial remains in August of 2020, or the end of July of 2020, end of July in 2020, and August 2020, 19th of December 2020, and March of 2021. Um, there might be one more location of partial remains, and maybe that's why they're keeping it a secret, because they don't want to give us just partial of our son back. They didn't want to tell the the American people, once again, we have a soldier cut into pieces, a whistleblower. And it's international, y'all. That's why the Mexican military was there at the stage task force find Richard Halliday. That's why the Mexican officials are involved in this case, and that they were there. And that's why you had the ATF there, because it involves the weapons and the weapons smuggling, the tactical move storage unit, that area, kilometer 29. You can go right on Google maps and see the Rocha, Tala Rocha. You can see that area is connected, seemingly, apparently, maybe. I mean, it just happens to say Tala Rocha for that land area and that business, and the people at 3905 Bliss Avenue is connected to Eddie Rocha and Belen Rocha, who's like, what, Richard? You want to help me? You want to be nice? You want to respect me? You're weird. You're weird. All my life I've been exploited. They absolutely exploited Danae Katzen. Absolutely. And then they sent that PI to who? Who did they send the PI to? Did they send the PI to Leilani Hart and James Hart? Did they send the PI to Felix Valenzuela or to Bob Moore? Did they send the PI to Bob Moore? Did they send, no, they sent the PI to, and the PI was, okay, whatever. We'll get to that one day. The PI to Danae Katzen and Belen Rocha, two young women. And we're supposed to be a country that cares about our young women, and what they're exploiting them. They're giving them passes to be party girls, to soldiers that have been locked in their room or whatever, with the class 6 right next to them in a marketplace of illegal drugs, a marketplace for illegal drugs, not just a place where there's legal drugs. I mean, it's a marketplace. It's the buying and selling of them. And then it's flush with weapons, and they're bringing these young, and I bet you not all of them were 18. I bet you anything. And they're giving them special passes. Did they say, oh, let me see your ID? Oh, let me check your bags. Oh, you have to stand 6 feet apart. Did Jerry Jakovitz, who's at the VA in an entrusted position, who allowed these young party girls to come on and who bragged about them, bragged that he did this. And he is supposed to see to the welfare of our veterans. I'm sorry. How did he get that job? Because he told Teen Fine Richard Halliday, he was at the meetings. Oh my gosh, y'all. And he's like, I didn't even know I had a missing soldier on my rolls. I didn't know I had that. And that's the person you're going to hire? Shaky and shaking? Shake, 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 shake. He knew with Major General Clem Coward that things were shaky. And that the American people were taken on a ride. They were taken on a ride, and they were being exploited. They're exploiting us. They're exploiting these young girls. They're exploiting war. They're exploiting our weapons, our ammunition, and that's why when the time comes, we don't have any. Because they've filled tactical move storage units. They've 16 wheelers full. Go check. Go do your, Google or whatever and check. They have filled these storage units with our supplies for their enrichment. And they have 85,000 missing children that are unaccounted for. And they have big staffs. They have all these hired people to keep the records of these poor migrant children coming over. And you can say, what do you mean they're poor? These people have been driven. They have been, and a lot of people are saying that they're military age men. They have been driven. They have been forced. They have been conned. They have been misled, and then they're going to stick them in the military where there's these sex cults, where there is this retaliation, where there is murder suicide, where there is barracks that are marketplaces for illegal drugs and flush with weapons. Come on. That's where they want to put these migrants in the military. They said it this week. We'll just put them in the military. We don't have enough volunteers, so we'll just, put them in the military. And, and exploit them. It's so inhumane. And Richard gets to Fort Bliss and he's, I'm sure he didn't know it all, but he saw something. He saw something. He saw sex videos. He saw, fraud, waste, abuse. And he reported it like they have told us to do. I've been in the military, alliance with the military, connected to the military my entire life. And I cannot tell you how many times I've heard report fraud, waste, and abuse. Report fraud, waste, and abuse. And now they retaliate against him. They set him up. They set him up and they ordered internally. This was an internal code red, I believe, seemingly, apparently, I truly believe this was a code red. They ordered it on him because the retaliation wasn't enough. They had to escalate the retaliation and he had to be murdered. So who are they in league with? Who are those that want to dismember a soldier's body? It's the people that would carry out a mass shooting in a Walmart, exploiting, because who shops in a Walmart? We do. We do. The average person. We shop at a Walmart. It wasn't really, to me, it wasn't an attack on a certain race of people. It was an attack on us. On us. And Richard was part of the attack. He's the one that was murdered. The same people that are connected to Patrick Crusius are the same cold-blooded people that carried out the murder of Richard. That's what I believe. And the suspect, the key suspect in all of this is Dallas Hart. Now, where is the calls? Hey, ma'am, you're day in and day out saying that Dallas Hart is a key suspect. If he's a key suspect in my son's case, that freaks me out because that means, was he connected to Patrick Crusius? Is he connected to Patrick Crusius? Is Leilani Hart connected to Patrick Crusius? Because she has done everything that she could do, that she probably, hey son, doesn't matter what you do because I control the CID. I control Thomas. I have my orgies. I have my orgies. I have my girls. I have my girls. I have my guys. I've got you covered. I've got your six. And absolutely Major General Clem Coward is part of this. Absolutely part of this. And I'm not accusing, I am questioning, because everything points to Leilani Hart, and Leilani Hart is the mother of Richard's platoon leader, Dallas Hart. And they rather commit crimes than give us the open records. The open records that are yours and the open records that are ours to see, because they work for us and they keep those records for us to look at, to prevent corruption, to have oversight, to keep them on the up and up. And they rather commit crimes than show us the records. Our records, your records, my records, they're our records. And that means that as long as they get away with that, they can carry out their corruption, because they have no accounting, no oversight. Look, Senator Ted Cruz got flipped off by Christine Wormuth. So are you telling me Christine Wormuth is in on this? She's flipping off a senator that's 23 ranks higher than she is. That's worse than a private flipping off a 4-star general. He's an elected senator, and he's being disrespected. And she's getting away with it. So, and one other major point that I have to say is there is a commonality in all of this. And that is that these people, for the most part, it's not 100%, but for the most part, just about, you'd be absolutely astounded. They belong to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. They are Mormons. This is what connects them. The majority are Mormons. And the Mormons have skin in the game when it comes to Juarez, because they, Mitt Romney's dad was one of the founders for Colonial Juarez. Colonial Juarez and Nove Casagrandes, those are Mormon-held areas. Those are vast swaths of property. And you just drive right up, and you can go to Santa Teresa Point of Entry. You can go to, I think it's Columbus, New Mexico. Go right up, go right down, and they have invested interest, skin in the game in this whole area. And Felix Valenzuela, Leilani Hart, this is their commonality. I hope that makes sense. And I think that this is really important for our country to uncover together. And we can do it. We can do it peacefully by driving them, by paying attention to them. This is what drives them, is paying it, because there's an election year going on, right? So, and I think because January 6th is imploding, because the whole George Floyd thing is also imploding. And I wanted to mention that one of the killers of this Torres, this inmate, last name Torres, that was just murdered brutally. Brutally. You don't even want to know how he was murdered. It was a torture, brutal 50 minutes in a jail. In a jail. 50 minutes. Where's the security? Talk about security breach. Um, he was tortured and murdered. And one of them is a Park University student. One of them was a Park University student. So, Park University is not vetting their students. And we know that because they did not do anything to Leilani Hart when she was causing so many problems there. Okay? Matter of fact, the regional director had to leave because they weren't going to do anything to Leilani Hart, and so he had to leave. And then the others, there was one professor that that lost her job, and every accusation was a false accusation. So she was causing. She's malicious. Then, if she doesn't like you, she will put out this false allegations. So, to have Bob Moore of El Paso Matters engage in political attack machinery, right? Weaponry, because that is what he has turned his El Paso Matters into, because of where all this leads. It's absolutely political. We know answers. We're not at liberty to say. I put out the questions there for people to follow, to read between the lines. We know the answers. Absolutely, Bob Moore violated his 501c3 by being a political attack machine. Absolutely. There's not a doubt in my mind. And it's so sad because he, in our son's case, has participated in the obstruction of justice and has inserted himself in both this case and the Patrick Crusius case, which is very abnormal. Very abnormal. So we have questions about that. And we have reported him to the IRS. You can do that too. Report him to the IRS. And you can do a search and find Richard Halliday. I can post it up too also. Just you can ask me in a chat. I'll be glad. If you want to write Veronica Escobar, if you want to write the IRS about Bob Moore and complain that he has, even during the election, we went and checked and through sources, we have found out that he repeatedly violated the requirements of his 501c3. And that is huge because if he doesn't have his 501c3, he's not really in a good money situation, financial situation. I think it would break him if he lost his 501c3 and had to pay taxes. So this is saving him from paying a lot of taxes. And but he's not honoring the gift of being tax-free. He's not honoring it. You know, he wants his cake and eat it too. He wants to be a political attack machine and be tax-free neutral tax-free. It doesn't work like that. That's why we give the tax-free status, because we want some neutral media. But he's not neutral. Absolutely not neutral. And he took an unreliable source, Leilani Hart, and he's protecting Leilani Hart. He must know Leilani Hart very, very well, like Leilani Hart knows, the DES, like so many. So if you have any questions, thank you all for coming on. And there's a lot going on behind the scenes. And I want to end with saying that this is moving forward. And if you have been with us since the beginning, you can absolutely tell that we are moving forward. We, so the really what we need is you to share, 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 share. Talk to people about this. Talk to people at the hairdressers. Say, do you know about the missing soldier? Do you know about the Walmart case? You need to share and get this out there, because that is how, especially during an election year, this is how, because we don't have time to replace all these people. We can't even replace all these people. That our government's so big and so established, but we can drive them to do the right thing. And God will absolutely, He's provided this far. Um, and I'm not playing games. I really am not. Um, and when I'm can tell you about more that we know about Richard's case and the Walmart case, the only reason why I withhold anything is because I like to um, confirm what I'm saying before I say it. And right now, it looks like we have confirmed that Patrick Crucius is on the autistic spectrum. And that's huge. So, right, Representative Escobar, and also write the IRS, and let's get the story out there so that we can get justice and we can have oversight again, to stop as much corruption as we possibly can. Thank you, everyone. Uh, Good night, and I will be back tomorrow, God willing.